Can you please share your name?
Jerry Jesse.
Okay, and do I have your permission to share this with my classmates and teacher?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. What issues did you have during the adoption process?
Uh, it was very lengthy, and that's about it. The length of time it took. The process was cumbersome.
What do you think caused it to take so long?
I went through the state, and the state never gets in a hurry. Plus, there's certain issues that's not normally a part of a normal adoption. There was the issue of his parents' parental rights. The state had to decide to take away their rights before he was adoptable. So there were different issues than a lot of people face when they adopt.
Right. Did he act out during this process, or before, or after?
All three.
Has he improved?
Yes.
Okay. Was it difficult having the biological family involved at first? Sorry.
I wouldn't say it was difficult. It was a little awkward at first, but once I got to know them, it was a lot easier, and it really didn't bother me.
Okay. Why did you allow them to become involved after the adoption?
Well, they were involved with him prior to the adoption while he was in my house as a foster child. And the simple fact that he is adopted does not take away the fact that his biological family are his biological family. I think that he has a right to know them, for them to be a part of his life and him to be a part of their life.
What is your relationship with the biological family now?
Parts of it is very good. Parts of them I still don't really know. I'm never around. I have not really had any problems with any of them.
Okay. Kyle claims he has gotten in trouble. How did this make you feel?
Probably no different than a biological parent would feel when their kid gets in trouble. Was angry, frustrated, hurt. About covers it.
Do you have any biological children?
3.
Okay. When did you start fostering?
2011.
Okay. How many other kids have you fostered?
2 total, both boys. The one was younger than Kyle, and me being an older parent, he was just more than I could handle.
It's understandable. Why did you decide to adopt Kyle?
Well, when Kyle came, he was not eligible for adoption. And what I was told when that he was placed in my house, that he wouldn't be there long because he was to be placed with some of his family. And it did not work out. So he just stayed. And the longer he stayed, it's just like he kind of found his place. And it just began to feel normal, natural. And as time went on, other issues that had come up that the state, of course, had to deal with brought it around to the point that he was adoptable. And I really wanted to give him an opportunity to finish his school, go to college if he chose to, try to make something of his life, just give him an opportunity. And of course, I fell in love with him. He is lovable. even though I could wring his neck every now and then. He is lovable. So it just seemed to be the right thing.
Did it? Kyle shares that he didn't change his last name. Does it bother you that he didn't do this?
When we were going through the process, we talked about it, and I wanted him to change his last name, and he was reluctant to. And finally, we came to the agreement that it would be his choice, and he chose not to. I guess you'd say my feelings were hurt some, but it was okay because Kyle was older. It wasn't like he was a baby when I adopted him. He was close to 17 when the adoption was finally finished, or maybe he was 17 by the time the adoption was actually finished. So by rights, he was basically an adult, had used that name all his life, and it would be difficult for him to change. Also, he had a friend that was in foster care, a young lady. I knew her and her brother and their foster parents real well. But they changed foster parents, and the foster parents they went to adopted both of them, and they forced them to change their name. And probably 2 years after that, Kyle and I had an opportunity to see the girl, talk to her, and she really ended up resenting her adoptive parents because they forced her to change her name. So I'm glad that I gave Kyle the option and let him make the choice. Of course, he still has the choice. If he chose to change his name, it would be a simple process of going to the court and having it done.
That's good you gave him the choice. How did your family react to the adoption?
Well, no one said anything negative directly to me. If they had any reservations about the adoption, they never shared it. For the most part, Kyle was treated like a sibling.
In what ways would your life be different if you did not adopt Kyle?
Oh, let's see. The house would be a lot quieter. Of course, I would be alone. I am a single parent. My wife passed away in 2009, and I have no idea. If Kyle had not come, there's a possibility I might have remarried, but that's kind of a remote possibility. So that would just be speculation. I have no idea how it would be different.
Do you think you've grown closer with Kyle through this process over the years?
Yeah, we are probably as close now as we've ever been. But there's this I'll be a little hesitant to say this, but when children go through foster care, they generally find it harder to bond with a parent or parent type than if they were with their biological family. So that real close bonding may not be there, but we are bonded, at least to a point. He is not as open to me as my own biological children are. He's not as quick to come to me and talk to me about things as my biological children are. But that's not to say that he doesn't come to me. He's just not as quick to come to me.
Do you think that there was issues with attachment through this process?
Yes, I do. See, Kyle had to break attachments with his biological family, at least to a point. And and then try to rebuild that attachment with me. He has never broken completely the attachments. I can tell that by the way he talks about them even still. And I think that we are close, but yet there's that hesitance to just go all in.
Do you think that will eventually change?
Probably not.
Why do you feel it will not?
Because he will always have that attachment to his biological family. And the only way for him to fully incorporate himself into my family is to fully separate himself from his biological. And I don't think that'll happen. It's not something I'm asking him to do.
Does that make you regret having the biological family involved?
No. No, it wouldn't have worked as well if I had. I don't think it would have worked as well if I had tried to force a separation between him and his biological family. I think he would have ended up resenting me for it. And then you have to keep in mind that Kyle was not a little child, when he was adopted. That issue may have been different had he been. And it would have definitely been different if none of his biological family had any involvement in his life, or didn't want any involvement in his life. They do, and I understand that. And I think that he needs that, and I think that they need that.
Thank you for sharing.
You're welcome.